There are moments in life that you remember with perfect clarity. The smell of the air, the sound of your own heartbeat, the exact expression on a person's face just before they shatter your world. For me, that moment didn't start with a scream or a fight. It started with a key turning in a lock. But to understand the weight of what I lost, you have to understand what I built. My name is Daniel. For 15 years, I was the owner of a small but thriving construction company. It wasn't handed to me. I didn't inherit it from a rich uncle. I built it board by board, nail by nail. I started with nothing but a beat-up truck and a loan that kept me awake at night. While my friends were out partying, I was studying blueprints. While they were on vacations, I was on roofs in the middle of summer, sweating out every drop of energy I had. And I had help. My wife, Elena. She was my rock. We met when I was just starting out, and she believed in me when no one else did. She managed the books. She answered the phones. She held my hand when we nearly went bankrupt in year 2. We weren't just married. We were partners. We had a beautiful daughter, Lily, who was the light of my life. And then there was Kevin, my younger brother. Kevin was the opposite of me. Charismatic, charming, and restless. He could walk into a room and light it up with a smile. But he could never hold down a job. He drifted from sales gigs to bar jobs to get-rich-quick schemes that always fizzled out. Our parents always worried about him, and I felt responsible. He was my little brother. When he showed up at my door 5 years ago, looking tired and broke after another failed venture, I didn't hesitate. I gave him a job. "I'll make you proud, Danny," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "I just needed a chance. I won't let you down." Elena was hesitant at first. She saw the pattern. But I insisted. "He's family," I told her. "We take care of family." So Kevin started at the bottom. He learned the trade. And slowly, he began to change. He showed up early. He worked hard. The clients loved him. Within 2 years, he became my right-hand man. I promoted him to project manager. I trusted him with everything, the schedules, the budgets, the client relationships. I was proud of him. I thought I had saved him. Looking back, I was blind. I didn't realize that while I was busy building a future for my family, my brother was busy digging a grave for my trust. It started with small things. Little inconsistencies. A client once mentioned they'd spoken to Kevin about a discount I never authorized. Asked Kevin about it, and he laughed it off. "Oh, that? I told him I'd talk to you. Don't worry, I fixed it." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Then there were the late nights. Kevin started staying at the office later and later. He said he was crunching numbers, trying to land a big new contract. I admired his dedication. I even bragged about him to Elena. "See? He just needed purpose." But Elena seemed distant. She was quieter than usual. When I asked if she was okay, she said she was tired. She said the house felt empty with me working so much. I felt guilty. So I decided to change that. I decided we needed a break, a real family vacation. It took me 3 months to plan it. I wanted it to be perfect. I booked a 2-week trip to a beach resort, the kind of place we never let ourselves indulge in. I arranged for Kevin to run the company while I was gone. I gave him full authority, signing authority on the accounts, full control over the projects. I handed him the keys to my kingdom. "Don't worry about a thing, big brother," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "Go relax. I've got this. You deserve it." The morning we left, Lily was jumping up and down with excitement. Elena was packing the last of the bags. I stood on the porch, looking at my house, my truck in the driveway, feeling like the luckiest man alive. I had the perfect family, the perfect business, the perfect life. I had no idea that I was walking away from it forever. The first week of the vacation was pure magic. The sun was warm, the water was clear, and Lily's laughter was the best music I'd ever heard. Elena seemed to relax too. We stayed up late talking, remembering why we fell in love. For the first time in years, I turned my phone off for hours at a time. I felt free. I checked in with Kevin a couple of times. He sent me pictures of job sites and texted, "All good here. Sales are up. Enjoy your break." I showed Elena the messages. "See? He's a natural. I should have given him responsibility years ago. She just smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. It was on day 9 of the trip that the bubble burst. I woke up early before the sun to get coffee and watch the sunrise over the ocean. It was peaceful. I decided to check my email just for a minute. There was a message from our bank. It was an alert about a large transfer. I squinted at the screen, thinking it was a mistake. The amount was huge. $50,000. Transferred out of our main operating account. My heart started to pound. I logged into the bank portal. My hands were shaking. When the screen loaded, I felt the blood drain from my face. The account was almost empty. Not just 50,000. Almost everything. The payroll fund, the savings, the emergency fund I had spent a decade building. Gone. Transferred out over the last week. I couldn't breathe. I stood up, knocking the coffee over. I walked back to the room in a daze. Elena was just waking up. "Hey, you're back early," she murmured. I held on my phone. "Elena, the money. It's gone." She sat up slowly. Her face went pale. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean it's empty. The accounts. All of it." We spent the next 2 hours on the phone with the bank, with the fraud department. But the transactions weren't fraud. They were authorized by the secondary account holder, the one I had given full access to. Kevin. The bank manager's voice was sympathetic but firm. "Sir, these transfers were made using the proper credentials. You'll need to contact your brother." I called Kevin. It went straight to voicemail. I called again. And again. Nothing. I called the office. No answer. I called his apartment. The line was disconnected. Panic set in. A cold, paralyzing panic that I had never felt before. We cut the vacation short. The flight home was a blur of silence and terror. Lily asked why we were leaving early. I couldn't even answer her. We landed late at night. I drove straight to the office instead of going home. When I pulled into the parking lot, my stomach dropped. The company trucks were gone. The lights were off. I used my key to get in. The place was a ghost town. Desks were cleared out. Computers were missing. My office was ransacked. Drawers were open. Files were gone. The safe in the corner, the one that held our contracts and deeds, was standing open and empty. I slumped into my chair. The chair I had sat in for 1,000 late nights. And I saw a single piece of paper on my desk, held down by a coffee mug that said "World's Best Boss." It was a note. Just 2 words in Kevin's handwriting. "Sorry, Danny." I sat there for I don't know how long. The silence was deafening. He didn't just steal my money. He stole my company. He stole my future. He stole the trust one had given him. I drove home, my mind completely blank, unable to process the ruin that awaited me. When I finally walked through the front door, Elena was waiting in the living room. She was sitting on the couch, her hands clasped in her lap. She looked up at me, and there was something in her eyes I hadn't seen before. It wasn't just fear. It was guilt. "Daniel," she said softly, "we need to talk." I was still in a daze from the office. The last thing I wanted was a talk. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. But the look on Elena's face stopped me cold. "What is it?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "If it's bad news, just tell me. I can't take any more surprises tonight." She took a deep breath. "It's about Kevin." "Kevin?" I spat. "Kevin is gone, Elena. He robbed us. He robbed the company. He's a thief." She flinched. I know what he did. But Daniel, it's more than that." She stood up and walked to the window, her back to me. When she spoke, her voice was so quiet, I barely heard it. It wasn't just about the money. Kevin didn't just steal from the company. I am so sorry, Daniel." The words hung in the air. For a second, my brain refused to process them. "We? What did she mean, we? What are you saying?" I whispered. She turned around. There were tears streaming down her face, but I felt no sympathy. I felt ice forming in my veins. "It started last year," she said, her voice cracking. "When you were working so late. He was here. He was always here. He listened to me. He made me feel seen. I was lonely, Daniel. And he took advantage of that." He took advantage? I repeated, my voice rising. Or you let him?
She sobbed. Both.
I don't know. It was a mistake. A terrible, horrible mistake. I ended it months ago. I was going to tell you. But then he started talking about leaving, about taking money. He said he needed a fresh start. He said he should come with him. I felt like the floor was tilting. My wife, my brother, my business, all gone. In one night, the two people I trusted most in the world had been conspiring behind my back. They had been laughing at me while I was killing myself to provide for them. Did you? I asked, my voice dangerously low. Did you go with him? No. She cried, rushing toward me. I stepped back. No, Daniel. I told him no. I told him I loved you, that we had a family. That's why he left early. He got scared.
He took the money and ran.
I swear, I didn't know about the money until today. I looked at her, this woman I had loved for over a decade, the mother of my child, and I felt nothing but a cold, profound emptiness. Get out, I said. Daniel, please get out of my house. She stood there, frozen. I walked past her, up the stairs, and into Lily's room. She was sleeping peacefully, clutching her teddy bear. I closed the door and slid down to the floor, sitting with my back against it. And for the first time since I was a child, I cried. I cried for the loss of my wife. I cried for the betrayal of my brother. But mostly, I cried because I knew that my daughter's life would never be the same. The next few weeks were a nightmare. Elena moved in with her parents. The bank froze our assets. The contractors I owed money to started calling. The clients I had served for years abandoned me. The police took a report, but Kevin had disappeared. The trail was cold. He had planned it perfectly. He was gone. I was left with nothing. No business. No wife. No brother. Just a mountain of debt, and a daughter I had to be strong for. I hit rock bottom. I sat in that empty house, surrounded by the echoes of my former life. I thought about giving up. I thought about just walking away from it all. But then I would look at Lily. I would see her innocent face, and I would remember that I had to rebuild. Not for me. For her. And as I sat in the ruins of my life, a strange thing happened. The anger began to cool. It solidified. It turned into something sharp and focused. It wasn't just rage anymore. It was resolve. Kevin thought he had won. He thought he had taken everything and disappeared into the sunset. He thought I was broken. He was wrong. He had taken everything I had. But he made one critical mistake. He left me with nothing left to lose. And a man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous man of all. I wasn't going to just survive. I wasn't going to just rebuild. I was going to find him. And I was going to take back control. The first step was the hardest. I had to let go of the past. I declared bankruptcy. I sold the house, the truck, everything. The money went to the creditors. I moved Lily and myself into a small, 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. It was humble, but it was clean. It was a fresh start. I got a job. Not as a boss, but as a laborer on a construction site. It was humbling. Men I used to contract were now my supervisors. But I kept my head down. I worked hard. I saved every penny. And at night, when Lily was asleep, I worked on my other job, finding Kevin. I started with the digital breadcrumbs. I remembered a tech guy I used to do business with, a young hacker type named Marcus who had helped me secure my company network years ago. I found him and told him the story. He was furious on my behalf. "Dude, your own brother?" he said, shaking his head. "That's cold. I'm in. What do you need?" Marcus traced Kevin's digital footprint. He found ghost accounts, fake profiles, and dormant social media pages. For months, it was nothing. Kevin was smart. He had gone completely off the grid. He was using prepaid phones and cash. But then, a break. Marcus found a photo. It was a geotag image posted by a travel blogger in a small coastal town in Mexico. In the background, blurred, was a man who looked exactly like Kevin. He was sitting at a beachfront bar, a drink in his hand, a smile on his face. My blood boiled. He was living the high life on my money, On my daughter's college fund. I took a week off work. I told Lily I had a business trip. I flew to Mexico. I found that bar. I showed the bartender a photo. He didn't speak much English, but he recognized the face. See, El Americano. Ricardo. He has a house on the hill. The big, white one. I found the house. It was a beautiful villa overlooking the ocean. I watched it for 2 days. I saw him. He had a new girlfriend. He drove a new car. He lived like a king. I saw him laughing on his terrace, grilling steaks, drinking expensive wine. I wanted to storm the gate. I wanted to choke the life out of him. But that's not why I was there. Violence wouldn't get my money back. It wouldn't give me control. It would just put me in a Mexican prison. I needed a plan. I needed to get inside. I went back to the bar. I befriended the bartender. I paid him well for information. He told me about Kevin's routine. He told me that Kevin was getting bored. He was a drifter at heart, and the quiet life was starting to get to him. He was looking for a new business venture. He was looking for a partner. That was my way in. I spent the next 3 months preparing. I grew a beard. I dyed my hair. I changed my name to Mark. I created a fake identity, a wealthy Canadian investor looking to develop luxury properties along the coast. I set up a fake company, complete with a website and a slick brochure. Then I made my move. I showed up at the bar one night. I was dressed in a linen suit, looking like money. I ordered the most expensive bottle of tequila they had. And I waited. Sure enough, Kevin walked in. He sat at his usual spot. I made eye contact with the bartender. He nodded. He walked over to Kevin and whispered something, pointing at me. A few minutes later, Kevin was standing at my table. I hear you're looking for local partners, he said, flashing that charming smile. The smile that used to make me feel protective. Now it made me feel sick. I looked up at him, my own brother, and I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt a calm, icy determination. I'm always looking for the right opportunity, I said, my voice level. Have a seat. For the next month, I played the role of Mark the investor. Kevin, or Ricardo as he called himself, ate it up. He saw me as a ticket to even more wealth. He told me about his genius ideas for resorts and clubs. He never suspected a thing. Why would he? In his mind, Daniel was back home, broke and broken. Daniel was a nobody. Mark was a king. We met for drinks. We met for dinners. He bragged about his life, about how he had made his money through smart investments. I listened. I smiled. I learned everything. He had spent almost half the money already. On the house, the cars, the parties, the women. He was burning through it fast. He was desperate for a new score. And I was going to give him one. I proposed a deal. A big one. A $500,000 investment in a new luxury hotel project. I told him I needed a local partner to manage the construction, someone with flexibility and discretion. I told him I needed someone who could move money quickly, without asking too many questions. His eyes lit up. It was the perfect bait for a man like him. I'm your guy, Mark, he said, leaning forward. I know how to get things done down here. I need to see proof of funds on your end first, I said, playing the cautious businessman.
Just a formality.
To show me you have the liquidity to handle this. A bank statement, a wire transfer. 50,000 liquid, just to show good faith. He hesitated for just a second. Then he nodded. No problem. I can do that. He had to access his main accounts to get that money. And that's when Marcus went to work. While Kevin was busy gathering his proof of funds, Marcus was cracking the security questions on his email.
He found the bank.
He found the account numbers. And then we set the real plan in motion. I told Kevin we needed to meet at his villa to sign the preliminary contracts. He was thrilled. He set up a nice lunch on his terrace. The ocean view was beautiful. The wine was cold.
He was so confident, so smug.
We ate. We talked. We signed the fake documents. Then I pulled out my phone. I just need to make a quick call to my lawyer, I said, to release the first tranche of funds. He grinned. Take your time, my friend. I dialed a number. But it wasn't my lawyer. It was Marcus. It's done, I said into the phone. Release the funds. Kevin leaned back in his chair, a triumphant look on his face. He thought he was about to get $500,000. Then his phone buzzed. And buzzed again. And again. He frowned, looking at the screen. It was his bank. Fraud alerts. He opened the app, and I watched the color drain from his face. The same way mine must have looked weeks ago. What is this? He stammered. I stood up slowly. I walked to the edge of his terrace, looking out at the beautiful ocean he had bought with my money. While you were busy showing me your proof of funds for this deal, I said calmly my team was busy emptying your accounts. Every single one. The money you stole from me, it's gone. I just transferred it back. He shot up from his chair, his face contorted with rage. You set me up. Who the hell are you? I turned to face him. I reached up and pulled off the fake beard. I ran a hand through my now dyed hair. Hello, Kevin. He stared at me, his mouth open. The recognition hit him like a physical blow. He stumbled backward, knocking over his wine glass. D. Daniel? He whispered. You took everything from me, little brother, I said, my voice shaking with years of pain. My company, my money, my wife. You destroyed my life. He started to bluster. Danny, wait, I can explain. Elena, she came on to me. It wasn't my fault. The money, I was going to pay it back. I just needed a head start.
Stop, I said.
I don't want your excuses. I don't want your apologies. I just wanted you to feel what I felt. To watch your world crumble and know there was nothing you could do about it. He looked around wildly, as if looking for help. But there was no one. Just me and him. You're broke, Kevin, I continued. That house. It's going to be repossessed. That car?
Gone.
And the police? I've already sent them all the evidence. They'll be here soon to extradite you. He fell to his knees.
Please, Danny.
We're brothers. I walked toward the door. I paused and looked back at him one last time. No, Kevin. We're not. We haven't been brothers since the day you decided to destroy me. I walked out of the villa and down the hill. Behind me, I heard him screaming. But I didn't look back. The flight home was the complete opposite of the flight to Mexico months ago. I wasn't filled with despair. I was filled with a quiet, peaceful relief. It was over. Kevin was arrested at the airport trying to flee. He's serving time for fraud and embezzlement. I got most of the money back. Not all of it, he had wasted a lot. But enough. Enough to start over. As for Elena, we divorced. It was civil for Lily's sake. I will never fully forgive her, but I've learned to live with the memory. She made her choices, and she has to live with them. She sees Lily on weekends, and we managed to be polite. But the trust is gone forever. Some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt. But me? I rebuilt. I took the money I recovered, and I started a new company. A smaller one this time. No big loans, no risky expansions. Just honest work. I named it Second Chance Construction. It felt right. It wasn't easy. The first year was a grind. I was back to working 16-hour days, just like when I was 22. But this time, I wasn't doing it for the money or the status. I was doing it for the principle, for my daughter, for the simple satisfaction of building something with my own 2 hands. Lily is 12 now. She's smart and kind and nothing like her mother or her uncle. She's the best part of me. Last week, she asked me why I work so hard. I told her, because I want to show you that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you can always get back up. And you can always take back control of your life. She smiled and hugged me. And in that moment, I realized that Kevin hadn't taken everything. He couldn't take my spirit. He couldn't take my love for my daughter. And he couldn't take my future. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But for me, it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. It was about looking in the mirror and knowing that I didn't let the darkness win. I faced the man who broke me, and I didn't break him back. I just took back what was mine. And then I walked away. My brother wanted to destroy me. Instead, he gave me a reason to rebuild. He taught me that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the most. But he also taught me that you are stronger than you think. When you hit rock bottom, the only way left to go is up. So if you're listening to this and you're going through your own storm, remember my story. Remember that betrayal hurts, but it doesn't have to define you. The pain is real, but so is your power. You can fall apart, or you can take control. I chose to take control, and it made all the difference.